Sharp angle shot, save, rebounds loose, they score! Keeper Bellows goals in 4 straight games. What a goal for Oliver Wahlstrom, a highlight reel tally, cross-ice pass, Wotherspoon scores! Parker Wotherspoon ties the game. This is a production of the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, proud American Hockey League affiliate of the New York Islanders. Called for the return pass instead, it's Simon Holmstrom. He tracks, shoots, he scores! First in North America for Simon Holmstrom.
I'm head coach Brent Thompson, and this is Sound Tigers Hockey.
And welcome inside the Sound Up Podcast here on November the 17th of 2020. I'm Alan Furing, and very happy to have you along for the ride for this 30-minute episode. It's our second edition of the Sound Up Podcast this fall. We started with head coach Brent Thompson last week. We had a lot of fun, and that conversation is still posted on Anchor, SoundCloud, also on YouTube. And we're going to continue to do these podcast series while we fill the downtime. Of course, I'm sure you heard the American Hockey League a few weeks back announcing that a new target date has been set of February the 5th to hopefully start an abbreviated season, but we're certainly anxious to get hockey going in any capacity, so we'll take a shortened season if it means we get to play, and if everything is safe enough to play. February the 5th, the target date, and it still seems like that's so far away, and so again, in order to fill the downtime, we're going to bring on some Sound Tigers players and maybe some alumni at some point and some other members of the team, trying to get to know them a little bit better. And I'm very excited to have Seth Helgeson on the podcast today. He re-signed a new deal, and he'll stay in Bridgeport for the next couple of seasons. Seth Helgeson, who re-signed on October the 29th, will now be approaching his 4th year with the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. He's been an alternate captain for the first 3, and in 63 games last season, put up 10 points from the blue line. And of course, scoring isn't necessarily his biggest attribute in the value that he brings. It's the leadership and the mentorship and his tenacity. And whether it happens or not, here's a guy that's going to be in the conversation for the next Sound Tigers captain. He has every quality for it, and we'll see if that is the case, and if he wears the C coming up, that's a decision to be made down the road. But for now, Seth Helgeson is on the podcast, and we welcome him in now. Seth, first of all, I hope all is well with you and your family. Tell us where you're talking to us from, and then also how the downtime has been going.
Yeah, it's been a lot different off season, that's for sure. I'm back home in Minnesota. I was staying in Minneapolis for the whole summer, and then I just actually moved out of downtown, and I'm living at my parents' house for kind of the time being to see what happens, when the season's going to start. But just been kind of relaxing and trying to stay busy as long as I can.
Yeah, the question that's been relevant really ever since March is, what are you doing aside from training, getting ready for a season? What are the things that's keeping you preoccupied and making the time go by?
Yeah, well, the first month I tried out the old video game situation. I'm not much of a video game player, so that lasted about a month. I got pretty bored with that. So I did that for the first month. And then once the weather got nice, I did a lot of golfing and then, with workouts and whatnot, and, just trying to stay safe. And it's kind of tough being around, certain people and whatnot, but tried to be around, a tight-knit group of friends as much as I could, and kind of just went throughout the days trying to find stuff to do. So now kind of just waiting to see when this all is going to start. So
yeah. Aren't we all? That's the question of the fall right now. You brought up golf. Did you watch the Masters?
Oh, what I watched, I would say, without playing, we're usually in season when the Masters is going, so we only get to watch Sunday. So I watched every single second of it, and it definitely did not disappoint. They did a good job of putting that together, so it was good to watch.
Last week, Brent Thompson said that Dustin Johnson was going to win, so he called it. Answer honestly, did you think DJ had it in him this year?
I'm a big fan of his. That's funny. Tomer says that he should really ask himself how the Masters pool went 2 years ago, because I won that one. Tiger kind of won me that, so I was the big payout guy. But you know what? It was nice to see. He definitely has had some close ones there. And I don't mind seeing DJ win at all. That was good to see.
Yeah, a very likable guy, a very talented golfer.
One of the good guys, yeah.
I was surprised that that's only his second major win. I mean, I thought he had at least 6.
Well, that's the thing too, is that everyone like kind of rips on him for, which is kind of a joke. Like, he's unbelievable. He's number one in the world, but they kind of are like, well, he only has 2 majors now. It's like, well, the guy wins. He's a winner. Granted, he only has 2 majors, but still, like, that guy is an absolute stick.
Yeah, and I mean, he's finished second or tied for second in the PGA Championship, the Open Championship so many times, so he could have, more than a handful right now. And he's certainly, one of the most competitive golfers out there. I bring that up because you're one of the most competitive players on the ice, especially for the Sound Tigers. And I'm honestly very excited to have you back. I know a lot of the fans are as well. What do you like about Bridgeport? What did you think about when deciding to come back to the Sound Tigers?
Well, it wasn't much of, once I kind of talked it over with Chris, it's where I want to be is Bridgeport. I've been able to be comfortable, with stuff outside of the rink, living situation, how nice it is around being able to live on the water and stuff like that. It's nice too, living in Milford, a smaller community. It's even my parents, when they came out, they loved it. They keep talking about how they want to come out. So, and then, it's kind of easy playing for Lou and Chris Lamoriello. I obviously have played with them for them earlier on in my career in New Jersey. And then, it's first class organization the way in, and you just want to be a part of it. And I think as the time has gone on, going into my 4th year now, you kind of see how guys have taken steps, and we have a young core that was rookies my first year, and now they're veteran guys. Hopefully we can make the right steps towards winning a championship. So, and I can't say enough about the coaching staff and what they've been able to do in the past few years, and kind of welcomed me and kind of welcome everyone, really.
You brought up Chris Lamoriello, of course, Islanders assistant general manager and the general manager here of the Sound Tigers, who's made a lot of the moves in free agency and deals with Bridgeport on a day-to-day basis. Seth, for you, obviously a leader on defense, a guy who's certainly a part of the core. What do you like about Bridgeport's defense when you look at yourself alongside of Mitch Van de Sample, Parker Wotherspoon, Sebastian Aho, a bunch of other names?
Just being around these guys for the last 3 years, I mean, they're definitely at a different level than I can safely say that I was my rookie year, and I was much older than them when I was a rookie. As you would know too, these guys they're too good to be around. So it makes it a lot easier to play for each other. It's a very exciting time because they've definitely made the right steps and the right strides towards becoming NHL players. So it's pretty cool to be around those guys.
Listen, I am completely removed. I have no opinions on any of that other stuff outside of the rink. So that's all on you guys and your own, bonding moments and your team building and all of that. So, Seth, you played quite a bit in the American Hockey League, 431 games. You played 50 games in the National Hockey League with New Jersey, so I wouldn't sell yourself short. I mean, you're still an excellent player. You had a great career so far, and it continues to build. When you look back at what you have been through so far, what are your favorite memories that stick out? When I played in Albany, we had 4 years of we made the playoffs 3 out of the 4 years. And the 1 year we didn't make it, we lost out on points like the last game. So we playing in Albany, it was always, we were in playoff contention. We made it to playoffs. And I think just, my first year making the playoffs when Albany hadn't made it in a very long time, and just the excitement around the city and that was pretty cool. Just being able to be part of a team, first year I was there, my rookie year, we played playoffs, we lost in the first round, but that was pretty cool. I played, 2 years prior in the NHL up and down. In my 3rd year,
I was 26, and I just told myself, I'm like, I honestly don't think I'm ever going to score an NHL goal. I just was, it was like 40 some games and I hadn't scored a goal. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it. I might not score, and I ended up scoring my first NHL goal in Columbus that last year in New Jersey, and that was a pretty special moment. And I guess playing my first NHL game too. That was pretty cool. And I got to play it. It was in New Jersey, but I got to play it against the Wild. So playing against my hometown team, that was pretty special. And and there's so many more moments there is outside of the rink, obviously, that I'm not gonna go into. But that was a pretty special feeling that we made playoffs 2 years ago in Bridgeport. That was pretty cool. We had a really good team that year. That was a lot of fun.
You do the math, and you play close to 500 games, so I can imagine you could go on, and we could spend the next couple hours talking about all of that. And one thing that I thought, and I remembered from last week talking with Brent Thompson, I thought was really funny because it sort of involves you, is he said that we were talking about him and Eric Boganicki, who have been partners in crime for a long time, and he said one of my favorite memories of us together behind the bench was April the 16th of 2016. It was a game against Albany. I believe you were in that game, and the coaches had a little disagreement on the bench. Things got a little out of hand, and I'm sure in the moment it wasn't a lot of fun, but looking back, that was one of Brent Thompson's favorite memories. Do you remember that game? What do you remember about it?
Of course, it's Tomer's one of his favorite moments. Like that's just like, well, that's so Tomer. Yeah, I remember it. Clearly. It was kind of funny too because it was a game that actually like mattered because I know we were gonna be in playoffs, but I think we needed to win to determine a seed. And I think Bridgeport, they needed to win as well in order to get in or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There was something, the game actually mattered. It just wasn't one of those, games that it was just like whatever. And next thing you know, it just turned into a complete mockery. I mean, and it was fun to be a part of because it wasn't just like a handful of guys. It was both teams, the coaching staff, and everything just got out of hand with the fights. And, our coach, our head coach, and Bogey are going at it. And I was so mad I missed out on both line brawls. So I'm sitting on the bench, I was telling my coach, you need to put me out there. I need to be involved in this.
I looked back at the stat line from that game. You had 5 penalty minutes in the game, and good on you. I thought that was going to be much higher.
Well, the thing was too is I remember because they had to cut the second period short. They were just like, we'll just add time onto the third. So I told my coach, I'm like, I don't care what you say, I'm fighting. I'm not getting out of this game without getting a fight. Because he was like, but we only had 3 defensemen. That's all we had. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not going out of this game. And I fought Patrick Cullity.
Yeah,
that's who I fought. And I got in the third. It was just it was so dumb. But I couldn't go to sleep that night knowing that I was involved in, and it made Yahoo. It was one of the most penalized games. And there's no chance I was getting out of that game without any.
They weren't leaving your name off of that.
Absolutely not. I had to get on the scoreboard. If I wasn't going to score in that game, it's I better be getting some kind of penalty minutes.
And then you decide you come over to the New York Islanders organization after that season ends. You've been with the Islanders in Bridgeport ever since. And I brought up Mitch Van de Sample, Parker Wotherspoon earlier. One of the things I really admire about you is your leadership, kind of your mentorship on the ice. In what ways do you provide mentorship to guys like Van de Sample, Wotherspoon, so many others, guys who come in and they're looking for kind of those older guys, whether it's through verbal communication or just, watching you, they're paying attention. In what ways do you feel like, you've kind of made a difference?
I kind of picked up some things on the way through pro too. I'm not gonna be that. I'm not that guy in the locker room that's speaking up and giving out, some motivational speaking or anything like that. But that's what I try to do, is kind of lead by example. And I think by doing that, and also just making making sure everyone's comfortable. I don't want anyone, throughout the games or even practices, I don't want anyone to feel like they're a misfit or like they don't belong, and making sure everyone's comfortable, because I don't want anyone to, if they do have questions, and I've told those guys too, like, you can ask me, and if I don't know their answer, I have no problem going to ask Tomer. Like there's certain stuff like that where I think communication is huge, especially with younger guys. And like a guy like Vandy, who was like so shy and didn't talk to anyone at the beginning of his first year. And then this guy doesn't shut up. It's like, now it's like, and when it comes to that stuff too, when these guys get comfortable, then their game starts evolving, then they're comfortable on the ice and stuff like that. So, it's just kind of leading by example, making sure everyone's comfortable, and just I've kind of made it known, like, I just want the communication to be, especially amongst the D-core. I think in the past 3 years, we've had a pretty tight-knit D-core. We kind of make sure everyone's taken care of and each one, sticks up for each other. And so it's, so it's, and just making sure everyone's having fun and no one's going through a day without, someone getting chirped or, it's all for the fun, and just making sure everyone's kind of involved and everyone's comfortable around the room.
And what a lot of fans don't realize too is, when younger players go to a new city, whether it's in the NHL, whether it's the AHL, anywhere else, I mean, they're a lot of these times, they're living on their own for the first time. It's their core group of, friends during the season. They're trying to get acclimated to a new city, and so even, just the communication outside the rink and getting them comfortable in a city, not necessarily even on the ice, makes a big difference. And one thing I've learned getting to know Mitch Van de Sompel, Parker Wotherspoon, everyone is actually found out, you're a pretty big basketball guy. Is that playing basketball? Is that watching basketball? Is it both?
Well, it's more, we always miss the good weather for the most part, so we can't play outside. So we watch a lot. I kind of get, these guys, they jump on these bandwagon, like, some of the guys just follow LeBron everywhere. It's like, well, my team's the Timberwolves. I'm going to stay by them till the day I die, even if they're bad.
Well, of course, you brought up Minnesota. I mean, that's where you're from. That's where you're living. Your team's the Timberwolves in the NBA. I know it's the Vikings in the NFL. Now, we're recording this podcast on a Monday. Monday Night Football is the Bears and the Vikings tonight. I'm from Illinois, so I tend to follow the Chicago teams. Now, when this podcast drops at 11 o'clock on Tuesday, we're already going to know the result, but since we don't know it right now, how willing are you to make a friendly wager?
Yep, I'm so willing, and that's the thing. I can never say no, Al. That's the only thing that that's like has kind of bit me in the butt my whole time, my whole life.
That's your toxic trait.
Oh, it's brutal. And the guys know this, is they ask me once, and if I don't say it, then they just say, well, because I usually tell them, like, stop being scared. Well, that's what they do, and then I have to do it.
So what are you thinking here?
Well, this is what we talked about. I think, loser has to wear jersey to practice one day.
To practice. So when we get back in season, practice.
Back in season. And you got to make sure you keep that on for a while. Like if I lose, I'll have to keep this. I'll walk around the locker room so everyone can see it.
Yeah, I mean, I got to look halfway professional, though. So can I wear it under, a shirt and tie, or do I have to show it?
Yeah, no. You have to wear shirt and tie, and then you have to act as if it's like a sweater. So you have to have like your shirt and tie like out. So it's actually a little classy.
All right, well, I'm so confident in Chicago, I don't think it even matters for me. So I'll give you a virtual handshake right now, and it's on.
Well, there you go. You know what, too, Al? I'm kind of scared because Minnesota always loses at Soldier Field, and the weather's going to be cold. Like, trust me, I think the Vikings are going to win, but I'm a little nervous.
Well, the Vikings
I will admit it.
The Vikings play indoors, so when you get to chilly and windy Soldier Field, it makes a big difference, a big home field advantage.
Well, yeah, and I played an outdoor game there when I was in college, and playing in that place during the winter, no thanks.
Yeah.
It was so cold and so windy. And I can only imagine, like, if you're playing football down there, like, good luck.
Well, a deal's a deal. So we got to take a break here real quick, but that's on Bears-Vikings on Monday Night Football. Loser, when we get back in season, has to wear the other team's jersey.
Yep, I'm all for it.
It's on. Well, last week we had a stat of the week and a trivia question. We're going to get the answer to that right now, and we'll be back with Seth Helgeson in just a moment.
Let me give you a little education, mister.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
Well, our stat of the week last week and our trivia question was that in only one game all of last season for Bridgeport did rookies score all of the goals when the team scored at least two. The answer to that, and if you got it right, we'll go ahead and send you a Sound Tigers little prize pack if you answered correctly, and let us know on Sound Tigers social media channels. The answer to that, it was almost exactly a year ago. It was Veterans Day of 2019, and it was a 2-0 win against the Providence Bruins in Rhode Island. Simon Holmstrom and also Arno Durando scored the goals for Bridgeport. The only game all of last season that rookies had every tally, and again, if you got that right, we'll send you a Sound Tigers prize pack. Now, this week, we've got a brand new one. The question is, how many players since the 2010-11 season have played in every single game, playoffs and regular season, within a given season? And if you answer that correctly, again, we'll send you a little Sound Tigers prize pack. Just go ahead and shoot us a note on either Facebook or Twitter and let us know what you think the answer is. It's how many players have played in every single game within a given season since 2010-11, how many different players. And if you know that, you could be a winner, a stat of the week. And with that, we'll head back over to Seth Helgeson, who is patiently or maybe impatiently, certainly it's the way it is in our households, getting ready for hockey to start. And Seth, I imagine for a player, it's awfully difficult with the uncertainty. You're a creature of habit. You usually know when things are going to get going. You know how to train and, at what point you really start to ramp it up. But this year, it's just so unpredictable. How tough is that for a player?
Yeah, and it's tough because I don't want to complain because the other people, everyone's kind of in a difficult situation, whether, dealing with the sickness, the virus. And, it's hard to kind of put in, you got to put in perspective, kind of everyone and whatnot. But the biggest thing for me, and I think a lot of guys, is just the unknown, as you said. We kind of are built on having a routine during the off season, and exactly, the halfway point of your summer, and then when you're going for training camp, so you kind of know how to deal with the workouts and the skating. And, that's kind of my biggest thing is I am such a, I rely heavily on a routine, and that's kind of been a pretty difficult situation, with everything going on. So, yeah, it's tough dealing with the unknown, but kind of everyone is dealing with it. So I kind of just go about my day and hopefully just hope for the best and, everyone stays safe. But, yeah, don't know. So just kind of continue on with what I'm doing.
What do you miss the most?
I miss all the guys. The staff. I miss you, Al. Duh. You are around these guys half the year. You kind of rely on, your friendships and kind of coming to the rink every day, seeing one another and, dealing with the stuff throughout the day. And that's kind of been the toughest part. And obviously, everyone kind of, we're not seeing much of anyone really, due to the certain situation we're in. So, and obviously the competitive, edge or spirit or whatever you want to say when it comes to games and practices, I kind of miss that as well. And I miss the routine of the daily grind we have. So, yeah, there's a lot to miss. I miss waxing guys and schnarps cards on the bus and stuff like that. So, but hope for the best, and hopefully we can, see each other sooner than later.
All great things we can look forward to happening, like you said, sooner rather than later. Through all of this, everybody, you don't get to see the normal people you do during the season. For me, it's seeing you guys downstairs, it's seeing the coaching staff, it's seeing the off-ice officials who keep score during games and record all the numbers and all of that. And I bring that up because, as we talked about earlier, your style of play leads to a lot of penalty minutes. You're in the penalty box a decent amount. And again, the reason I bring that up is the off-ice officials are down there. They're working the penalty box. And kind of on a sad note here, earlier this offseason, Frank Camera passed away, who was a penalty box timekeeper. And he's been a timekeeper in Connecticut, I believe, for 62 years total, and with the Sound Tigers ever since day one. You got to know him very well just because of the time you spent in there, and I know relationships off the ice as well. Very tough news, but you were one of the guys who knew him well. What do you remember about Frank?
Yeah, that was sad. My condolences to his family. That was tough because, we just saw him, in the year. And that's, kind of took a turn for the worse. But, Frank, Bruce, all those guys, we go to pizza. Like, we try to do it like once a month. Last year was a little harder due to the schedule and whatnot. But Frank was just, kind of a gentle guy, easy to talk to, love pizza. Anytime you went into the penalty box, he was on the other side, right? Like where we came in, he was scorekeeping on the other side. And he always made sure to look over and give you a wink when you're when you're in the penalty box. So, yeah, great personality, great guy. Just the nicest guy there was, and definitely miss him at our annual pizza meetings in New Haven. So, but yeah, all the best with his family. Don't have a bad thing to say about Frank. Frank was the man. All those. Been in there quite a bit, so I'm kind of used to all those guys. So it'll be tough to not see him in the upcoming years.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever had a bad thing to say about him. He had some stories. He'd been around so long, and he knew the game as well as anybody, and he had some incredible stories. So I certainly echo what you just said. My thoughts to his family and friends and everyone in the hockey world and in general. We're going to switch over now to some fan questions because this is one of my favorite parts of the segment. It's a mailbag segment, and we're going to start with Matt from New Canaan, who wants to know from you, in the last 3 years, I don't even know if you know this or not, you've only missed 2 games with Bridgeport. And so he wants to know, because of your style of play, you're on the penalty kill, you're a grinder. That's impressive to only miss 2 games in a 3-year span. Do you have a secret to your sustainability?
I don't really have a secret. Like, I guess my training throughout the summer helps me prepare for the season to go. I guess I would say I'm pretty lucky and pretty very fortunate that I haven't had any major injuries. And that kind of, that has helped me out a lot. And I guess too, I'm one of those guys that I don't, I'm not going in playing to hopefully not get an injury, if that makes sense. I'm not thinking about that. And I just try to be consistent and try to, prepare for the weekends during the week, during practice, whether, that's off ice stuff or, on ice stuff. But I think I'm been very fortunate to, kind of last that long. And and you know what too, I had a streak in college. I think I played every game from the last game of my freshman year till throughout my senior year.
Let's head up the road. To Shane in Stratford, who submitted a question this past week. And we touched on this a little bit, but the question is, do you play any board games or puzzles to pass the time? If so, which ones?
Yes. Well, last year I didn't get into as much as I did 2 years ago. Mike Sislo and I completed, I think it was 10 puzzles, 1,000 pieces. And we got, what too, I will say this real quick. We got Vandy he's had to stay at our house for a week, and we got him off the video games and got him into a little puzzle playing. So I do a lot of puzzles, board games, not so much. It's more card games, I'd say. Yeah, I need to start getting more hobbies, I guess, because I don't do much during the day. I take a lot of naps. I'm a big nap guy during the year, so a lot of naps. But board games, not so much. Cards, do a lot of that, and I actually just picked up Scrabble. I've been playing a little Scrabble lately, and I do a lot of Sudokus in the newspaper. So I'm not a very interesting person when it comes to hobbies. So,
but a good way to not only pass the time but also sharpen the mind a little bit too.
exactly, yeah. Always staying on my toes when it comes to getting the brain going.
Last one, and because Brent Thompson discussed this last week, you actually submitted a question for him asking about his favorite flavor or sauce for chicken wings, and he flat out said, if we have a contest, there's no way I'm going to beat him. Maybe back in the day, but certainly not now.
That's such a lie, that's such a lie. Tomer could demolish anyone.
He threw that back on you for your favorite flavor.
Oh gosh, I would say spicier the better, hotter the better. So, you know what? I had some wings over the weekend that were pretty good. They were like in a spicy barbecue sauce. I know that's not very traditional, but I would say I like a lot of I'm a big sauce guy. So I wouldn't say what are the ones that, like a dry rub.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I'll eat them. I'll pretty much eat anything. But I would say the saucier barbecue sauce is nice. And to tell you the truth, I think Tomer could beat anyone on our team in a wing eating contest. I think he could still do it. I think he's still got it in him.
All right, we're going to set that up for the spring or whenever we get back all together.
Dude, we could actually, because I would do that for sure.
We look forward to that. We're running short on time, Seth. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope I get to see you in person again very soon and we get this season started. But in the meantime, it was a lot of fun to catch up with you, and even I got to learn some things about you I didn't know before.
Of course, Al. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was a good time.